Audio, you already know who it is. But anyways, so I'm going to review Blue Beetle. Blue Beetle was real good. So this movie is like an 80s flashback type thing. It's just like there's a lot of like 80s vibes to this movie. Like if you like seeing Stranger Things or just like what's that one show? Anyways, this movie was 80s vibe, and it was a cool action movie. And honestly, if I didn't see the Marvel, I would say this movie was like one of the best movies of the year. But not in the like cinematic, or not in the like the technical like acting of like The Godfather or something like that. This movie was just a good movie because it was just really fun. Like every part, every scene of this movie's like super fun. I'm just having such a blast watching this movie. Seriously, I didn't think it was going to be as good as it was. Like the trailer was good, but the trailer, I don't know, like there wasn't enough. Like I think this is why this like marketing is so important. Because like a lot like basically all the movies I saw was watching yesterday, you can tell like the quality and just how good the movie I thought it was going to be from the trailers actually did that. Me specifically, I could just tell the movie just by a poster if the movie's going to be good or not. For the most part, like you could just tell a lot from how, like the what they're showing and also who's behind it and the craftsmanship of it. Which is why I really should get my thumbnails up so I can really like display what my content is. But it's more like I'm like a life coach who loves helping people, and I like to think I'm a deep thinker and all things like that. So this channel itself is just a showcase of me, and just me being a fan of movies, and just seeing the world. But also there's more than just the dialogue and the topic of. It's also a vlog of my life, So it's a lot of different things. But this movie, Blue Beetle, really good. I don't even feel like looking up the actors, man. I'm gonna be honest with you, but I'm gonna look them up and give them their credit. There's nothing like too crazy. They relied a lot on George Lopez, and it worked. It worked. They relied a lot on George Lopez had a lot of like time, like they showcased him a lot, like they did for in Black Panther. They showcased it on Angela Bassett a lot, and they let her guide the young actors because of the guy was dead. Who's the guy from Black Panther? Black Panther cast. What's his name? Because Chadwick Boseman is dead, and he was the main star. But these young actors don't have enough. They don't have enough. They don't have enough like star power. They don't have enough in the tank to really, carry a big movie like that. So they relied on Angela Bassett, to really put on something before they let Latia Wright really, step into her own. And they also shared it with Lupita Nyong'o, who is also hot. But anyways, they didn't the light was shared, they shared the spotlight. They didn't just give it. Like Chadwick Boseman, he was already like a A-lister who didn't need he would use up the spotlight to what it needed to be. But they said the same thing in this movie. They let George Lopez, as they used George Lopez out of the guardrail, and they gave him a lot of spotlight in this movie to kind of, assure that it wasn't going to go anywhere particularly crazy. All right, let me just do some B-roll, anyways, of the background. Anyways, let me continue. Blue Beetle cast. Again, all these characters were attractive. Also, I'm just saying, it is an attractive character. But let me just start off with sorry, I don't know his name. Exolo, Maridunina. Exolo Maridun, Mariduna. Exolo Mariduna. Becky G was in this. I didn't know that. Bruna Marquezne. I'm gonna say Bruna Marquezne. She was really. she was right. But anyways, she was attractive. She was fine. But a lot of these characters were attractive in this movie. But she really did a good job. Again, George Lopez stood out, and it was really fun seeing. There's also Suna Sanderson. I think the standout of this movie, like that actually not necessarily standout, but somebody who's like a star, you really bright future, was the sister, Belissa Escapado. Belissa Escapado was this, like, she was the brightest star in this movie. She had the best chops. You could tell she's like a A-lister. If she gets the right role, she's going to be an A-lister. And to me, she gave an A-lister performance. She did a really good job. She did everything right, and just hats off to her. I think, yeah, she has a really big future. She did a really good job. She was really believable. And yeah, she was just a good character overall, and she stood out. But overall, this movie was very fun. There's a lot of good parts in it. It was just a good time overall. There's a lot of 80s vibes to it. They relied on George Lopez, who did not fail. There's a lot of good. This movie was fun, but it was also funny throughout the movie. A lot of Spanish jokes, a lot of like Hispanic, just Hispanic or Latino, whatever you want to, or whatever, Hispanic or Latino, just a lot of star jokes. Like, and I know some people might not like be like I from where I live, I have a lot of friends who are Hispanic, and it's like I'm accustomed to the culture, so a lot of the jokes were just off the rail funny. It may not land for everyone who doesn't understand it, but just a lot of like the quick jokes were just, they landed. Similar to what's the movie? Joyride. There's a lot of cultural jokes that were really, really funny that don't appeal to the American, like the white American, audience. But if you're Hispanic or this the culture, it's like the kicking thing to make it funny. Like, people do that, but just him saying press the button, she's pressing the button, and he's saying in Spanish, he's like, press the button, press the button, press the button in Spanish, and she's pressing the button, and he goes over, and then he's like, press the button. That's just something like, there's something like older parents do, or just older family members do, but like especially Hispanic people do it in a specific, distinct way that's very, very funny, and they displayed that, and it was very, very funny. The script was there, the acting was there, you know what I'm saying? And that was just a small thing, but they do that throughout the entire movie, and it was just like zinger, 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 zinger. All these quick, funny things were just really, really there was like a good hearty laugh all the time throughout this movie. And I get it, like, that this movie didn't hit as much. Again, I think In the Heights didn't hit. Joyride didn't hit. Thinking the Marvels recently just hit. And a lot of that is just, people are sexist. Which is like, it's just, people just don't know, is what I'm trying to say. And I'm not trying to point fingers at everybody and things like that. But just as for this movie, we're talking about an American white culture. White America, who's not accustomed to all these, cultural jokes. They don't understand it a lot. So you can't expect it to land and be as impactful to people who don't understand it. But I expect people to try and understand, and go out and showcase and try and, learn things, Like Encanto hit, but I feel like that's like kid stuff that people are going to watch anyways, And like, I feel like these are older adults. So I just feel like, the American audience weren't receptive to this thing, which had a lot of like cultural things from a more international palette of just the Hispanic culture. So I feel like this movie was really, really strong, but they didn't succeed because of the internet. Just, there's a lot of Hispanic elements. This whole movie is you're like very, very it's highlighting the Hispanic culture a lot. There's a lot of loyalty and family, like Vin Diesel, loyalty, family in it. But it's a lot, very heartwarming. It's very caring. It's very connective, and just a lot of rooted ingrained in this entire movie is a lot of Hispanic. There's a Hispanic writer, Hispanic director. Again, like I feel like again, it like just like the Marvels failed because, or people are like pooping on a lot of people are you giving a lot of negativity and saying that it's bad to the Marvels is really because it's women. I feel like the same thing. This didn't get enough attention because of it was it's an Hispanic movie. That's what it is. It's a Hispanic movie with a Hispanic superhero with a lot of things. And I'm not just saying America's race. I'm just saying like it's clearly obvious. That's why it didn't. That's why it didn't just top the charts. It has nothing to do with the quality of movie, which the quality of movie was really good. Like compared to all the other movies, it was great. It's definitely a strong showcase of the DC movies. Like there's nothing wrong with this movie. And if it was if you're gonna compare it to Marvel movies, then it's top 15, top 10 in Marvel movies. By quality, by how funny it is, by how fun it is, The villain's kind of weak and things like that, but just the dialogue and how fun it is, it's up there with with the best of the Marvel movies, which is the area was going with like the comedy, humor, all the things like that. Just the context and the composition was very related to Marvel, but it just really did good. And I feel like if this was a Marvel movie, it would have hit a lot more, but I feel like it's DC, and DC doesn't have, the reputation right now to really garner enough people. I think it did break even, but I'm just saying, I just feel like this movie should have done way better. And what I've seen in recent, like I seen In the Heights just kind of be a flop because of they didn't really know the actors, But there's movies that succeed where people don't know the actors that well, and there's actors that just show up and make their grandstand, So I'm not going to take that in as just a valid argument that there's not enough actors, because it's thinking In the Heights had Anthony Ramos and there was enough bad actors, but Transformers, I'm not sure if it did really great, but it was talked about like by a bunch of people. And it had Anthony Ramos, the same character, so it's like they're not established. I'm not buying that at all. What my perspective, what I just see, I feel like there's a lot of Hispanic stuff in there that people really didn't understand and I feel like if people would have tried to understand, they would have enjoyed this movie a lot more, and I get it. There's a lot of jokes in this movie that are not going to land to the American audience because a lot of it is just very cultural to the Hispanic community. And I understand that. So I had a good time because I understand all those things. So there's also the flip side of what I'm saying that I get it because I get if you didn't know all this, like all the jokes, the cultural jokes or just even the jokes or just, scenes in this movie or just like arts in this movie are again very based on cultural things. Are this just cultural Hispanic things, and it's not Marvel, like it's not DC movie 1001, it's its own fresh showcase, and this movie was fresh and interesting, with an established 80s vibe, which is already successful and has a market, and you had the entire 80s. So I'm just saying, it's kind of a mixed bag of things. This movie did, I think, break even, but it was a really good movie, and I wish it would have had more respect and more, I wish it would have been talked about more and had more success. But I get it, it's kind of a niche, well, not a niche. It's something that's really undiscovered that needs kind of time to really, flourish. And I hope I'm helping you with that. Just watching this review. But definitely go check it out. It's really, really fun, and it's easily one of the best DC movies you're gonna see. And you have a good time with the family and the characters, and it's really that's again something that's like the Hispanic the culture. It's all about family and enjoying each other's presence, and just Hispanic people and just Caribbean people are normally in a good mood all the time. They're always very happy. It's like that, but that's kind of the culture. That's kind of the people, you know. They're always happy. Like they're always happy. Obviously, like it's not perfect. I'm not trying to paint a picture that everything's perfect in this community or another. I'm just saying, just the culture of Hispanic people is a very jolly, always hype community, like always like funny, always playful community. That's just who they are. That's Hispanic, like people. That's the Hispanic culture. It's just always having a good time, and this movie is always having a good time in every scene. It's funny and it's so playful. And it's just fun to watch. Like I like in watching this movie because I like just the characters, banter, the dialogue. The time, the love and enjoyment breaks through the silver screen to me as a viewer, and I really appreciate it. But also, I have understanding of the the what they're saying. I understand all the jokes. All the jokes, I get them. It's funny. Just like Joyride, I get not all every single joke, but I get all the jokes that they're saying. Because I'm a minority. I'm a minority in America. I'm the black African American. I'm Haitian, so I'm not even black. I'm Caribbean. But I grew up. My birth parents are both from a third world country. They send money to another country pretty regularly, and that's, I think, a thing that just general Americans don't get. It's just sending money to another country, or just people of like who are just like middle class, not middle class, just people who are just more privileged. They don't understand just sharing or just feeling the pain of many people. And like if you would put New York in like Kansas or like Texas, they would become from Republican states to blue states, just to get a little political, because you just you have when you're around more people and you communicate with more people, you have empathy for those people. Versus if you're not around those people, it's hard to build empathy for people you're not around. So if your life you're kind of in this bubble when you're in this certain area or this certain area, it's like, let's say, just hypothetically, I'm very generalizing, mind you. Like, so if you just spend all your time in like a certain neighborhood and you don't go out and talk to anybody else, versus if you just spend all your time in a certain neighborhood, in a certain place, in a certain thing, if like I'm always over here and over there doing this, and you never really go out of your way to really spend time to understand, to communicate with people in different areas or sections of life, of the world, of thought, of idea, it's difficult for you to understand those different things, And this movie also talks about that. But again, this is something I deal with as a minority, as someone black, because I see this. I see, and I'm not rich. I don't have the money there, So I just see the race, how people treat you differently, how people, and this is also in the movie, just the race and culture of it. But just, like I worked in a grocery store, and this is not selective, this is just selective, or what my old friend used to be like, anecdotal data. It's just personal stories. It's not personal stories, and you understand that when you actually go out and talk to people from different aspects, you're not just sitting in your couch, grumpy with your tin hat saying all these things like that. You're going out and you're experiencing, you're gaining different, knowledge, you're experimenting, you're gathering all this information. So you can't say something on a couch, when all you do is a certain amount of things. You can't, you need the context, you need the experience to really understand things, and talking out with Twitter thumbs on your couch is not going to get you anywhere. But just me, in my experience, you just see all these things, it's there. and a lot of people say it's not there, but it is there. All these race, sexist, all these things like that, they're there, and people experience them in real time. And when you really communicate with a lot of people, not just on the streets, but through every walk of life, through every different like age, like the people who are ages, just if you talk to a lot of old people in a retirement home, you'll get a lot of information. If you talk to people, homeless people on the street, if you talk to people who are not, don't have much money, or people who have more money, people who have this type of background, people who've had injuries, pro athletes who are no longer pro athletes. You get so much different information where you gain that, and not everyone has a privilege or opportunity to gain that. And not everyone has the understanding that of all these different things, and that doesn't make you less than a human being. It's just that you should, at least try a little bit to get a little bit, of this context, of this information, because not only will it make you a better person, you'll have a fuller life and a better perspective of things. And I don't know. I like the way this went. But yeah, and you can just, all this is really displayed in the movie, very well. There's like a scene where he's like, Jaime, the character Blue Beetle, is like, they just don't understand, that connected to me so much. It's the same thing when people were like Miles Morales right now is very popular because pretty much only because he's a black Superman, because people can relate to him. Because he's, and he has this criminal uncle who tries to make him do criminal things. It's like it's a different walk of life, and you get that perspective, but also you get that that same. I feel that relatability of someone from your background, and I think obviously they look like you. That's cool and all, but all this transcends just color of skin. It's really walk of life, background, context, and understanding, And it's not just Miles Morales is a black super. That's not it, People say that, but that's not what they mean. They mean, he's comes from a different background, and he has these different influences. Where Peter Parker had a stinking great uncle who was telling him with great responsibility, with great power comes great responsibility. That's preached through in every single Spider-Man movie. Whereas Miles Morales, he has an uncle who's shady as duff, and he's telling him to do criminal stuff. You know what I'm saying? So you get that different context, you get that different background, and it's stories, man. It's people, it's lives. You're getting a different story, something. There's a word for that when you understand that everyone has a different life. But everyone has a different life, and you're getting a different story. You're getting a different journey. You're getting to see different details of a different human being, bruh. Do that, or whoever's human, you know what I'm saying? So that's real. It matters, and it's there, and you see it, and it's awesome. So there's the state police. So I'm just going to keep on walking before they be like, yo, what's the get out? But they're pretty chill. But anyways, phenomenal, great, and awesome.